because that's what we do at NAN. For the holidays, we serve, because service is power. Also, salute to National Action Network Atlanta's leadership, Reverend Ron Saylor. I know they're watching. Damon Byam, Reverend Lee C. Franklin, from the senior pastor of Mount Ephraim, and NAN's West Atlanta president, Pastor Emery Berry of the Favor of Atlanta Church, senior pastor. I attended as well in Atlanta with JT and other leadership from around Atlanta, Georgia. We gave away over 300 food boxes on both days and turkeys, and it was just an excellent effort, rain and shine. It was beautiful. So to see what NAN is doing on the ground, they did it in New Jersey, we did it in Las Vegas. So all around the world, NAN is serving our community as in the tradition that we were taught by our leader. So salute one more time to National Action Network. All right, does anybody know who was here last week for the NAN Saturday Action Rally? So who was our special guest? Gina, who was our special guest? That's right. And Jordan Wright, that's right. Let's clap them up. City Councilman, our new District 9 City Councilman was our special guest, and his campaign manager, and a son of the movement, Jordan Wright, Chief of Staff, and of course, Gina Williams was in the building. But does anybody know who's coming this Saturday? Oh, all right, wait a minute. All right, who's coming? You said it, you was right. Yes, so there you go. Let's clap her up. Somebody is paying attention during the rally. Everyone is not sleeping. All right, during the first hour at least. That's excellent. So her name, hopefully I get this right, Dr. Fumla Makaziwe Mandela, the daughter of the great Nelson Mandela, will join us this Saturday at the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally. What time does the rally start? All right, good job. All right, so make sure you join us 9 a.m. Eastern. If you cannot join us in person, make sure you join us online on YouTube or Facebook, and help us to welcome the daughter of a legend, literally. Nelson Mandela was a legend of the human rights movement. Apartheid, he literally is an example of everything we stand for. So let's be there as a group, as together as NAN, let's stand strong to welcome her and to hear what she has to say. She's sharing a book of intimate images that she created. Reverend Sharpton did it was the foreword, I believe he did, in the beginning of the book, but she's basically going to come and share that about his extraordinary life of her father. Did anybody tune into an award show this past Saturday? What was that award show? The Grio, all right, the Grio Awards. Did anybody like it? Any complaints? All right. If you can't hear, they said they loved it. So salute to you, the Grio. It was their second annual Grio Awards. Our leader and founder, Reverend Sharpton, was given the Justice Icon Awards. His speech was incredible, although I must say so myself. If you didn't see it, it's on NAN's website. It's on thegrio.com. But I think it's just very important. In usual Reverend Sharpton fashion, he called people out right in front of their faces, talked about Negro amnesia, and made sure people remember where they came from, and also talked about the need to continue to keep going and how he's going to march every day, every time. Well, not every day, but he's going to basically stand up for injustice and against injustice and for justice and for equity and equality and freedom every day that he's blessed to wake up. So make sure you catch the entire, not just Rev's speech, but the entire award show was excellent. Byron Allen, I don't know if y'all know his story, but he's an entertainment media mogul, and his speech was like he was a leading activist. So it was incredible. I really was, and it was great to see Black excellence and those who we consider icons in that way and in that fashion. There was no negativity, no shaking of unnecessary things that they had to tie us in to do. It was all positive, and I really want to salute it. And it was on CBS, so that was a good thing. So let's clap them up one more time. All right. Now, one last thing. So, Jordan Neely. Anybody remember Jordan Neely? Yeah. All right, good. All right. I heard Rivers? Not Rivers. Okay. In the subway. That was right. Okay. So I'll read this. There's an update basically in regards to Jordan Neely. Some of you joined us for the first court date in New York City, and this is a call for you to join us for the next one. Former Marine Daniel Penny should have known his actions could kill Jordan Neely, given that Penny's military training and desperate pleas from strap hangers, Manhattan prosecutors said in a Wednesday court filing defending the decision to bring manslaughter charges against the accused subway killer. Penny, who was 24 years old, reportedly had his hands around Neely's neck for 6 minutes, prosecutors noted, adding that the chokehold lasted another 51 seconds after Neely, who was 30, stopped moving. The notion that death is not a foreseeable consequence of squeezing someone's neck for 6 minutes is beyond the pale. What does that sound like, squeezing somebody's neck for 6 minutes that we just fought? Anybody know? There we go, George Floyd. All right. Adding that the evidence gathered in the case points to Penny acting both recklessly and with criminal negligence, and ultimately caused Mr. Neely's death. Steinglass noted that Penny was trained in dangerous chokehold techniques during his military training, with Penny's own trainer testifying that students are specifically cautioned during training that a choke can be fatal to the person being held. So he got the proper training and he was taught the proper way and still did what he did. This training helped support the notion that the defendant was aware of and consciously disregarded a substantial and unjustifiable risk that death would occur as a result of his prolonged use of a chokehold. Neely boarded the F train at the 2nd Avenue subway station on May 1st, about 2:30 p.m. Prosecutors say no witnesses reported Neely coming into physical contact with anyone before he was grabbed by Penny. For me, it was like another day typically in New York, one witness said. I'm from New York and I've been riding subways and buses all my life. I personally didn't feel threatened, said another. Whatever the nation of Mr. Neely's words and actions, his arguable provocation spanned considerably less than 30 seconds, said another. Speaking about Penny's 6-minute chokehold, one witness said that the nature and duration of the hold verged on overkill. Another strap hanger urged Penny to let go of Neely, warning that if you don't let him go now, you're gonna kill him. Someone said that, and he still didn't let go. A medical examiner later told the grand jury Neely had scrapes and bruises indicative of neck trauma, as well as bleeding or hemorrhages in some of his neck muscles that were consistent with the significant amount of force applied to his neck. Neely was pronounced dead about an hour later at Lenox Health Greenwich Village Hospital. The cause of death, according to the medical examiner and death certificate, was compression of the neck, prosecutors said. Penny was arrested nearly 2 weeks following Neely's death after a video of the struggle went viral and sparked national outrage that many of us were a part of, causing for him to be arrested. Penny has since pleaded not guilty. Again, I'll say he's pleaded not guilty to charges of manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide. His defense team has pushed to dismiss the case. Remember, we were supposed to be at the court earlier this month, and they pushed that. They didn't have that court date. So now they pushed it to the first week of December, but we're waiting to definitely make sure that it's going to happen because we don't want to appear and no one is there. But they also, every time we inquire about when this is happening, we also get a lot of pushback and nonsense and runaround. So basically his defense team is on their job because they're trying to basically get this case removed and basically get the charges dropped. Some witnesses allegedly have been approached from what has been said, and basically some if you read, like if you Google Jordan Neely, some of the stories that you see, you're gonna see a lot of witnesses saying that he was a threat, and then on this, just like in this one, you're gonna find others that said he was not. But in all of them, you can read that Jordan Neely did not put his hands on anybody on the train. So there was no reason, in my opinion, and this is merely my opinion, for someone who was trained to take down somebody or to help protect people, for him to put a chokehold on somebody for 6 minutes. And people were calling for him to stop, and he did not stop. And now he's saying that he's innocent and not guilty of anything. So when we put out the call for you to come stand with us in court downtown, to stand with Jordan Neely's father and his lawyers, please join us. Okay? I will say that one more time. When we put out the information in December, if they let us come, if they have the court case, please join us because we really, really need to stay on this issue. Justice for Jordan Neely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ash. So I would like for our senior advisor of Huddle to present us the Black History Fact for today. Ms. Patrice Perry, please clap it up for her.
Thank you, Giselle. Hello, our NAN family, our NAN Huddle family. So our Black History Fact today is about Sean Elijah Bell. Who remembers Sean Bell? How many of you are, real quick, how many of you were at the rally when we marched and took over Fifth Avenue? Just want to see the hands. Oh, okay, that's good. I remember that day. 23-year-old Sean Elijah Bell, the victim of a violent police shooting in 2006, was born on May 18, 1983, to William and Valerie Bell. As a child, Bell was interested in acting and played baseball. According to Bell's fiancée, Nicole Poultry, at the time, in an interview with the television host Larry King, he had his mind set on becoming an electrician. The Chauvin Bell shooting incident took place in New York City, New York borough of Queens, on November 25th, 2006. The night of Bell's bachelor party and the day before his wedding, Bell and two close friends were shot a total of 50 times by 5 uniformed and plainclothes undercover New York Police Department officers. Bell died and 2 of his friends, Trent Benefield and Joseph Guzman, were severely wounded. Police officers were on duty near Club Kahlua, the name of the building where the shooting took place, which was reportedly housing a prostitution ring. After Guzman and another man got into an argument outside the club that resulted in a gun threat, Officer Gesrald Isnara, concerned about possible violence, both informed Guzman and his friends that he was a police officer and summoned other officers. Isnara assumed one of the men was reaching for his gun and fired into the car. The other officers followed suit and fired multiple shots. On March 16, 2007, a grand jury indicted 3 of the 5 officers involved in the incident. Officer Isnara, who fired the first shot, and Officer Michael Oliver, who fired 31 of the 50 shots, were charged with first and second degree manslaughter, second degree careless endangerment, and first and second degree assault. Detective Mark Cooper was charged with 2 counts of reckless endangerment. All 3 detectives pleaded not guilty. As their arraignment on March 19, 2007, Isnara and Oliver were released on bond, and Cooper was released on his own recognizance. Officers, Isnara initially faced up to 25 years in prison under their indictment. Chauvin Bell's death sparked brutal public criticism of the police and reminded many of the fatal Amadou Diallo shooting by other police officers in 1999. The tragedy soon became highly publicized by Reverend Al Sharpton and other New York City activists. Sharpton, who led other protests against police brutality towards blacks, held a series of press conferences surrounded by the relatives of Bell, Benefield, and Guzman at Mary Immaculate Church. Mary Immaculate Hospital, where the wounded men were being treated. One law enforcement official said that the reality of the indicted officers' decisions sank in, that the incident would have a strong impact on how detectives make decisions to use deadly force, especially those during undercover work. The shooting also helped set the background for the later Black Lives Movement. In April 2008, Justice Arthur J. Cooperman, who heard the case alone after the detectives surrendered their right to a jury, acquitted all 3 men of the charges filed against them. That is your Black History fact of the day.
Thank you, Patrice. So, okay. I just hope everybody's paying attention because I'm getting distracted by the voices. So, I would like for our young huddler, Mr. Gino, to come and tell us about the membership and text alerts. Clap him up.
Hi, everyone. Is everybody an updated member for the year 2023? Have you renewed your membership? If not, this applies to you as well as those who are not members. The best way to stay informed and in the action is to become a member of NAN. Stay informed about NAN events close to where you live. Text Justice followed by your state to 59769, 59769. And join us every Saturday at the rally at 9 a.m. But if you want to come early to get a seat, 8:30.
Yes, what he said. Make sure you come 9 a.m. or 8:30 if you want to get a seat, because it be packed in here. And also remember that on Saturday we do have a special guest. If y'all was listening, y'all will know the special guest for Saturday. And so I would like to start our good news. But before I open the floor for everybody else's good news, I would like to call up our co-founder, Ms. Dominique Sharpton, to present her good news. Bear with us. All right, can we give her another round of applause? Thank you.
Thank you. So I wanted to talk briefly. I wanted y'all to know all about this 15-year-old young lady who's the #1 ranked African-American junior golfer in the nation. Her name is Shyla Brown. She was just 8 years old when she began playing golf. How many of y'all are 8 or under? I know my son is 4. And just so y'all know, Reverend Sharpton preached his first sermon at the age of 4. So young people doing these things are phenomenal. We want to always encourage our young people when they exhibit gifts or they exhibit skills. We want to garner it, and we want to help them to focus and really garner the skills that they have and progress the skills. So this young lady was just 8 when she first began playing golf, crediting her parents with sparking her interest in the sport. She's now making a name for herself in the game, becoming one of just 4 nationally ranked high school golfers recently selected to compete in the Southwest Airlines Showcase at Cedar Crest, one of the nation's top amateur golf tournaments. It is a historic accomplishment that Shyla holds in her heart when she thinks about her own journey. Currently, she's the #1 ranked African-American junior golfer, blazing trails of her own for other youth of color in the sport. She was also named to the 2023 American Junior Golf All-Star Team, becoming only the 2nd Black person in history to receive the award. She says, "To whom much is given, much is required. And the more blessings that are given to me, the more responsibilities I hold to uphold these blessings." Wow, from a 15-year-old. For her, young people, it's really about staying consistent and disciplined at any level. She credits her family, her coaches, and especially her peers in the sport with helping her to stay motivated and inspired. In addition to golf practice and tournaments, because you can't just play sports, Shyla has a lot on her plate. She juggles school, and also she's a member of the marching band at school. She plans to stay focused and has dreams of eventually going pro and becoming legendary at the game. So we want to just big up Sister Shyla, 15-year-old, ranked #1 African-American junior golfer, and wish her continued success. I also want to just mention that tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. All over the country, people, organizations, corporations are encouraging people to give. And of course, we definitely know in the spirit of the holidays and all that we do with National Action Network all year round, we are an action-based organization with over 100 chapters across the country. So we're going to be launching a campaign tomorrow with GoFundMe for people to donate as little as $1, but that will help National Action Network to really sustain and help us to build and be of service all over the nation as we hope to continue to do so. So we want you all to just ring the alarm. Reverend Sharpton will actually be ringing the NASDAQ alarm on the NASDAQ bell on tomorrow in honor of Giving Tuesday and in honor of the fight for social justice and activism to continue. And we want you all to support Giving Tuesday. Tell your friends and families, donate to NAN. All you need a penny to start. Just a penny will help us to go very far across the nation. So we want you to definitely encourage your family and friends and those in your community to give to NAN on Giving Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So now I'm going to open the floor up to good news, and y'all have your own mic today. So, okay, I'm going to just fix it for y'all. Okay. So, anybody, I know y'all all have good news. We just spent Thanksgiving with our families. We spent Thanksgiving here. I want to hear all about it. So I don't see nobody's moving to the front. I don't know. Gino?
My good My good news. Hello. Hello. Okay. My good news. Hello. Okay. My good news is that it was my first unit math quiz. I got 100 on it. Kind of thought I was gonna get a 90 on it. So, but I ended up getting 100. And on Saturday, I have volunteered for the Thanksgiving event here at Nan.
Okay.
Thursday.
Thursday, okay. All right. Well, this is going to be a little hard because it's good news, but it's also a confession. Praise the Lord. Oh, yeah. So real quick, last week we talked about a very sensitive subject here at NAN. And honestly, I didn't think it was going to affect me that much because I've been holding back a whole lot most of my life. But in NAN, we talk about a lot of issues that really should trigger people to get help or to do better in life. And the topic that we talked about was sexual abuse or what have you that P. Diddy was going through with whatever her name is, I can't remember right now.
Cassie.
But yeah, thank you so much. So long story short, if anybody is actually dealing with certain things, they should get help. Because at the end of the day, my good news is I decided to speak to my counselor tonight about certain things that have been affecting me and really hurting me, and I've been suppressing them because I don't often talk about certain things because you know what happens too sometimes, we forget. Right? We forget about the sexual abuse. We forget about the pain. We forget about the things that happen to us. And as black women, oftentimes, we're told, don't talk about it. You're strong, right? What happens in your life stays, with you till you die, right? Don't be letting people know what you're going through. So what happens? We harbor all of this pain, resentment, and when there are trigger words or certain issues that come about, we recall those things, and then it comes out really wrong sometimes. But either way, I wanted to say that's good news for me because I'm glad it happened. And at this age, after having a baby, a whole lot has been happening lately that I wasn't prepared for. But I'm getting the help, and I'm very thankful. So thank you, Ashley and Damo, for having that session last week. And your girl is still working on the causes. And I'm going to talk to Ashley afterwards about something great that she said too last week or the week before offline. But get the help, fam, because oftentimes we're suffering in silence, and you don't want to do that. God bless you, and I'm so excited to be here tonight.
Yay. All right, I got two good news. I'll try to be as quick as possible. I have a friend, y'all know her. Her name is Donna Sephora. She's the Dayako lady. She actually got me to come here in the first place. She's the reason why I'm here. Anyway, huh? Shout out to her. Oh, shout out. Oh, yeah. Donna, coach, you the bomb. I love her, I swear to God. All right, so she sent me an email that she wants everybody here to know about. And so there are two events this week. Register for either event by 6 p.m. tonight. It might be too late, but she told me to do it anyhow. If people can't register, they can contact her, and I can see if I can get them in. So a mixer where high school students from India pitch their community projects that support the Sustainable Development Goals. Tomorrow, November 28th, between 5:30 and 8 p.m., and this is going to be at the Forbes Global Properties, Broadway, New York. Registration is required. I've got a link. I'm going to send it to whoever needs me to send it to them. Then there's a second event. It's a 1 million for 1 billion. Activate Impact Summit at the United Nations. This is on Thursday. Young people from India are presenting projects that support the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Thursday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern at the UN, 45th Street and 1st Avenue. And so I'm going to send it to, who should I send it to? Ashley, is that all right? Yep, I'll send it to you, and then you can make it available for everybody else. But it's not just for young people, although it's inspired to support young people because y'all are our future. Just saying, yo. Word. So that's my first good news. My second good news, I'm just super shocked because I talked about my Facebook page last week and the traffic that I got on it. But right now, I've had 40 million people looking at my page. 40 million people in less than a month, because we're only on the 27th of the month. That's 5 New York cities. You understand? I'm like, wow, I don't know how that happened, but I'm going to keep it going because I'm on a roll. So there you go. I'm complete. And that's all I got. All right.
Good. It's good news. My good news was going to the Manhattan Museum.
What happened at the Manhattan Museum? Marcus, come here. What did you do at the Manhattan Museum?
I play with trains.
A little actor. Thank you.
He love him some trains.
How y'all doing, Huddle? So I got 2 sets of good news. I don't know if y'all remember, I used to come here with a little girl. Her name was Beauty. Okay, so y'all know her mom had passed away earlier in the year. And I got to hang out with her last week. So that was like really good. I got to say that. She's 13. She turned 13 on November 7th. All right, and then my second good news is, after dealing with all that emotional stuff, I'm back in school and I have 8 classes left to my bachelor's. So I'm in my finance now. And they're all finance, so please pray for me.
You're gonna do amazing.
My good news is, I don't like this mic, Giselle. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, we're fine. We're fine. I'm going to behave. Okay, so my good news is that I will be celebrated by the Nassau County for my artivism on December 21st. They will be giving me a Kwanzaa Award. And my journey starts at 2 years old, where I start painting. And I remember not seeing anyone in my community that painted so much, just mostly graffiti artists. My uncle was into graffiti. He showed me a few things. And then I took that into acrylic and oil. And because I never really saw an example in my community, I didn't really think anything of my gift. And it's a lot for the devil, right? You have to take your gift and make something of it. And I, about 3 years ago, decided to go on an exhibit and showcase my art and became the first black artist in my community that was celebrated artistically. Even though I was the first, I was not the only. I was just the one that decided to try to showcase my artwork. So for those that are out there, believe in your gift, believe in God, what God gave you. It's back into your hands, Giselle.
That's awesome. That's amazing. All right, so thank you everybody for your good news. It was amazing. As always, my good news is being here with you guys on these Mondays. It makes my Monday. So, with that being said, I would like to go into our Did You Know segments because you may not have known. So we're gonna get it started, and the first person who's presenting our first Did You Know is Mr. Mo Bars.
Thank you.
Give me a happy face.
Give it up for Giselle, our host. Good evening, all huddlers, and huddlies. So this article is more so just information. Rev mentioned it Saturday about 2 young men who unfortunately died in a brownstone fire right here in Harlem. One of them was a familiar face I seen around in passing, so I'm just going to read about that and inform you about some information in the end. Two die as fire sparked by burning candle rips through Harlem brownstone. A candle. 27-year-old Taekwon Carthens was said to be pronounced dead on the way to the Harlem hospital after Manhattan fire tore through a 3-story brownstone Saturday morning, probably hours before we came in for the rally. A Harlem youth mentor was one of 2 men killed by a fire that tore through a Manhattan brownstone Friday night. Officials and family members said Saturday the raging blaze, which fire marshals blamed on a burning candle, broke out on the second floor of a four-story home on West 132nd Street near Malcolm X Boulevard, Lenox Avenue, around 11:45 p.m. There were big flames shooting out the window, one neighbor who would only identify herself as Janet told the Daily News. I was scared because I heard people were inside and I heard them screaming. Responding firefighters found 2 men inside the building. One died at the scene, cops said. The second died at Harlem Hospital. One identified adult male was pronounced dead on the scene, while a second unidentified adult male was pronounced dead at Harlem Hospital after a 2-alarm fire broke out inside of their 4-story residence at 107 West 132nd Street in Manhattan on Saturday, November. Friends identified the man who died at the hospital as 27-year-old Taekwon Carthens, a longtime member of the Living Redemption Community Development Corporation, a Harlem youth empowerment group. Carthens, known to his friends as TJ, rented a room on the top floor of the brownstone, said Doran Hammond, who mentored the young man at Living Redemption. TJ was joy, Hammond, 41, said. He brought happiness, he brought laughter, he was full of smiles and full of good energy. Carthens was a skilled basketball player and always seized the opportunity to dance his butt off, Hammond recalled. He loved good times, and you'd have a good time in his presence. He was definitely loved, he said. 2 other building tenants were taken to the hospital suffering from smoke inhalation and other minor injuries. I was at the hospital when one of them died, said Jesus Sierra, who was hospitalized after inhaling lungfuls of smoke as he escaped his ground floor apartment. I feel for them, but I'm glad that God put his hands over me. I would have been the 3rd fatality. Fire victims Jesus Sierra speaks to the media after he escaped his ground floor apartment. When I opened the door, I got a rush of smoke, Sierra recalled. The firefighter pushes me out and says, "Don't you know what's going on?" Sierra exited his apartment through the backyard and saw the firefighters hosing down the building. There was black water everywhere, he said. The firefighters had brought a big ladder to the backyard and were breaking windows. A 32-year-old man was also treated at Harlem Hospital and released, officials said. Kadam Niani, who lived on the top floor of the building, bruised his eye escaping the burning building. There was smoke, so you couldn't see much, explained Niani, who had just returned home from Black Friday shopping. When the fire broke out, I opened the door with my hand and tried to go downstairs. I fell down 2 times, but I was able to get out. I couldn't really see anything, he said. More than 100 firefighters fought the blaze, which was extinguished shortly after 1 a.m. Saturday morning. Firefighters enter a brownstone on 132nd Street. I looked out to the top window and I could see the flames, a witness said. I'm like, let me go down, grab the coats, grab the bags, and get out of here. When I opened the door, the embers from fire and glass was falling, so I was trying to get my mom out first and figure out how I'm going to get out. One of the neighbors of the block helped me. On Saturday morning, firefighters were gutting the insides of the brownstone so the fire wouldn't reignite, she said. This building is burnt to a crisp, and FDNY was out here all morning throwing stuff out, she said. I just thank God the fire didn't spread. After he was released, Sierra, an Army vet who works at a local veteran hospital, was allowed to return to his apartment to collect his belongings. I got the presents I bought for somebody, he said. All of my stuff is dry, but the corner of my apartment is filled with water, and there's a lot of stuff they broke. I'm shocked, he said, recalling his near-death experience. Imagine coming home, laying down, and then you have a fire. Now I gotta find a place to live, a new place to live. So, yeah, unfortunately, that happened. The young man, Taekwon Carthens, he was part of an organization, like it said, called Living Redemption Community Development Corporation. And I did the research earlier. Their offices is right on 124th. Between Lenox and 7th Avenue. And they're a nonprofit organization. They're small. They're kind of like us. Every Thursday they have a women's mentor group. They have mentorship programs for young men. So I reached out and let them know that what the huddle was and that we were actually covering the story. And I invited them to come to a huddle, to bring their program and come sit on our huddle. So hopefully I'll hear back and we can meet these people and we can fellowship and, we can, let them know Nan is their brother in the movement and everything. And hopefully that can create some new members and get some love in here. So I'll keep everyone posted on that. So that's the end of my Did You Know?
Love that. Love that a lot. So, second Did You Know by yours truly. So today I'm going to be talking about educational support for students in foster care. As y'all know, I'm for the kids. I am a kid, so we're going to keep this going. So, thousands of New York City students living in foster care returned to classrooms this month with first ever support from their local Department of Education. That's crazy to me, but it's been long overdue. The long-delayed and much-anticipated launch of a dedicated office first announced in December 2021. The Office for Students in Foster Care is now fully staffed with 9 employees serving the needs of the city's public school students growing up in the child welfare system. Kids who have to focus on classwork amid ever-shifting caregivers and the emotional trauma from rocky childhoods and family separation. Students in foster care are some of our most vulnerable young people, spokesperson for the city's Department of Education, Jenna Lau, wrote in an emailed statement to the imprint. Our fully staffed foster care team is working diligently to ensure they have the critical supports they need to succeed in school and put our young people on a path to lifelong success. The new office includes 5 support coordinators and 1 manager, as well as staff working with homeless students. The office also includes a data manager, interagency coordinator, and training and policy associate. Erica Palmer, supervising attorney at the nonprofit Advocates for Children, praised the creation of such a helpful resource, noting its significance given that the city may soon institute hiring freezes and make across-the-board budget cuts to its agencies. I'm very excited that they're there, Palmer said. The office has done a lot of work introducing themselves to schools and to superintendents so that they know they exist and know that they're there to reach out and provide support. Improving educational outcomes for foster youth has received increased attention in recent years. On Tuesday, elected officials, advocates, and foster youth are expected to gather at a press conference to celebrate what they describe as a landmark achievement for New York City's youth impacted by foster care. The event is being promoted by the Fair Futures Campaign, a local nonprofit coalition of more than 100 organizations and foundations. The campaign helped secure $30.7 million in city funding to provide coaches and tutors to more than 4,000 New Yorkers from 6th graders to 26-year-olds who have backgrounds in the child welfare and juvenile justice systems. That's amazing. At the event, supporters plan to highlight new data that shows 8th graders in the city's foster care system graduating to academically selective high schools at the same level as their peers who have not spent time in the system for the first time in history. A recent evaluation by Chicago-based think tank Chapin Hall gave more measured support, calling it a well-developed but still emerging model. As New York City's roughly 7,000 students in foster care enter their new academic term, they face ongoing and widely acknowledged academic challenges during childhoods, typically marred by upheaval, from difficulty attending homeschools to spotty attendance that leads to poor grades. Last year, the city's Center for Innovation through Data Intelligence released a study based on confidential administrative data that revealed the foster youth schooling crisis to be more concerning than previously known, and perhaps the best local examination of the issue to date. In 2019, only one in four New York City public school students who spent time in foster care during their high school years graduated on time. That stands in stark contrast to their peers with no foster care background, 3/4 of whom graduated on schedule at the time the study was released. Brooklyn City Council member Rita Joseph sounded the alarm, stating, "The data is clear that as a city, we are currently failing to ensure that students in foster care get treated with the respect and dignity that they deserve." In 2018, a city task force reported that more than 25% of students in foster care repeated a grade, compared to only 6% of the other New York City students. Education and child welfare advocates like Palmer, including the Legal Aid Society and the city's larger foster care agencies, such as Children's Aid Society and Good Shepherd Services, have been pushing for the creation of this foster youth serving office since 2018. That's a very long time, overly prolonged. For children who were removed from their home and are now in an educational setting, dealing with that trauma and trying to focus in school is extremely difficult, said Melanie Hartzog, president of the New York Foundling. The Foundling supported charter school in the Bronx. Mott Haven Academy is unique in its approach. It is believed to be the first and only school in the country created specifically for children in foster care, with specially trained staff and goals centered on students' emotional needs as well as their academics. Hartzog is hoping for further support from the Department of Education's new division to extend Mott Haven's staff training model to other schools in the city. There are many critical needs to be met. So that concludes my Did You Know? It's actually, I think that this is good news. As far as all kids need education. We fought for education, so there's no way why students should be getting the education that they deserve no matter what predicament they're put in. And I think that this is a great thing because when you're a child, well, I've never been in foster care, but I have friends that have been in foster care before, and now they just grew out of it. And they were like subjected to only a certain type of education or like a homeschooling type of thing. They weren't given like the same rights that we were because they were in foster homes and stuff like that. And they weren't accessible to public schools and charter schools or any type of school. So I think that this is a good thing and that we have our own education committee. So we're here to help. I feel like this is definitely a good thing. And even working with our own huddler, Pastor Mac, he has a project going on where he has a group home with kids my age and younger. And he wants to help them get education as well. And he said that he was gonna bring them in and we could collab with him on that. And I think that's such a beautiful thing to just give kids education. So we'll stay tuned with that. And that concludes my Did You Know? But we are not done. So, yeah, thought. So, for our third Did You Know, our person who is presenting this is Reverend Ron. Please clap him up.
All right, for the third Did You Know? Derek Chauvin survives Arizona federal prison attack, stabbing, raising security questions. And just to prepare your mind before I get into the meat of the article, the question presented is, should Derek get increased measures implemented to prevent harassment, bullying, or violence among inmates that other inmates are not provided? And so it reads, it says, Derek Chauvin survived a stabbing at an Arizona federal prison. Law enforcement officials said Saturday, raising immediate questions about why Minnesota's most notorious inmate was vulnerable to attack and what should be done to protect him in the future. The former Minnesota police officer had been in prison at the Federal Correctional Institute of Tucson for killing George Floyd while on duty in 2020. As of Saturday, the Federal Bureau of Prisons had not formally confirmed Chauvin was attacked by a fellow inmate a day earlier at a medium security facility, but law enforcement leaders in Minnesota said they were officially notified he was. A spokesman for Attorney General Keith Ellison, who decried the attack, said Saturday morning that Chauvin was expected to survive. Brian Evans said Ellison's office had no further information about Chauvin's stabbing, which was being investigated by the FBI. A spokesman for the Bureau's prisons, which like the FBI is under Justice Department, declined to respond to questions or provide additional details about the attack. What led to it where Chauvin was being kept? The Bureau said in a statement Friday night that the inmate in question had been taken to the hospital. So why was the inmate in question taken to the hospital, y'all? What happened afterward, after the attack, right? Why was he taken to the hospital? So in August 2020, from Minnesota to the Arizona prison, which has about 382 inmates, according to the website, the prison has been plagued by security lapses and staffing shortages across the Associated Press. So someone said, Ellison says he didn't deserve extra punishment, that Chauvin did not deserve extra punishment. He says, I'm upset at this. In an interview Friday night. One Minnesota correction officer who declined to speak on the Chauvin case, and then so there's a lot of just information not being given. Someone said it would be standard practice that he would be separated from the general population, especially someone who is a high-profile inmate, and especially in a case that has national prominence. So my question to you is, and you can start to line up if you have a response to it, is should Derek Chauvin get increased measures implemented to prevent harassment, bullying, or violence among inmates? Should he get increased measures?
So, you know what? I'm going to say it like Dominique said it in the back. It is a waste of money if he gets protection. And you know what? I mean, this guy, he killed George Floyd. He fought against being put in a federal correctional facility. So they put him in a state facility. And yet if he's not safe in the state facility, what makes him think he's going to still be safe with security? There's already security implemented in there. There's been other people that have been killed in jail. He should be glad that he's alive. But, but let me say this. I also don't think that violence should be done to him. Two wrongs don't make a right. And so does he need protection? No. But I also think that we need to really take human life seriously. That's the biggest thing. I don't really care about him. I just care about his life. And I'd rather him be alive than, people then, if God forbid, if something happens to him, because I'm not going to say, people, the power of life and death is in the tongue. And, somebody said something last week that, I don't want to say, caused it, but you never know. But anyhow, what was I just lost my train of thought. Okay, I got it. What I wanted to say is really we should be mindful that if something happens to this man, it's going to really cause an uproar in the political climate. I mean, the same thing happened with the young man that shot those two people that were not black. What's his name? Kyle Rittenhouse. When he shot those people during the Black Lives Matter. And you see how people protected him. Created an entire GoFundMe to make sure that kid did not go to jail. Now, God forbid if something happens to this man. We don't know if this guy was attacked by a black man. They never said that. But we don't know what's going to happen to him. And if something happens, we're going to see another whole big... It won't be Black Lives Matter. This is when we're really going to start seeing white supremacy, white nationalism. That's what we really need to be worried about. So he don't need protection. What we need to be worried about as black people is if something happens to him, will retaliation happen back to us?
I feel like he kind of ate me up with this one.
No, he didn't. Okay, let me rephrase the question, right? Get your thoughts together, right? So should Derek Chauvin get increased measures implemented to prevent harassment, bullying, or violence among inmates?
Okay, maybe y'all just gonna hate us again because I feel like Christian already said this, but I feel like no matter who he is, like I feel like he should get the same treatment as other inmates. I feel like it should be no favoritism. Now, if he is in a space where, he feel like his life is in danger, then of course, I feel like any jail, if an inmate comes to them saying, "Listen, I feel like somebody's gonna try to hurt me," solitary, not like, not punishing them, but what can you really do? They all live together. Put them in another block, or something like that. But what measures can you really take if an inmate comes to you in the jail and say, I feel for my life, like I'm in danger? The only thing that you can really do is separate them from the other inmates, because you don't know who's trying to hurt them. You don't know what's going on. But I feel like, in general, he should get the same. It doesn't matter who he is to me. If you did a crime, you went to jail for your crime, now you're in there, and you feel like because you're this person, you need this type of security. There's no security in jail. There's no security in jail. I feel like he's gonna have to man up, not knuckle up. Hopefully he don't get into no fights, but knuckle up and just and do his term, and that's it.
Okay, so yo, no, I'm just saying what people need to realize is that he was already given a layer of security just off him being a police officer. So by default, he can't be in Gen Pop because he's a cop. So when he was found guilty of what he did against George Floyd, when he was taken to prison, he was put in a certain area that are for police officers, or in certain prisons, not just police officers, but other people who need protective custody themselves. Police officers, child molesters, people who may have done others, like mentally disturbed, there's a section in most prisons, there's a section for those kind of people. In some prisons, there's a place for just police officers, a whole cell block tier for just officers. If you get into a fight with another officer, that's just on you. He got beat up by somebody else who has to be in protective custody too. But like Giselle said, the only other option is solitary confinement. There's people who literally do their whole term in solitary confinement. They'll ask for it. But in certain states with there's certain laws with, being a man or a woman being solitary confinement mentally and emotionally, that can't be allowed. There's been, people have been sued, prisons have been sued for putting people forcefully in solitary confinement for longer periods than they were supposed to be in and stuff like that. So when it comes to him, he was already given that security. He was put in that area. They can't micromanage any prisoner. Jeffrey Dahmer, probably one of the most famous criminals, got killed in the kitchen, and he was in a certain custody. So there's no line of security. It's just not gonna happen. They can get to you. You know how this prison is a whole nother world. It's just inside of a building. They can get to him if they want to get to him. There's no way. The only real way, like Giselle said, is doing that 22 in solitary confinement, and he don't want to do that. Trust me, he'll be talking to himself in 3 days. So he can't do that either. So that's how it goes.
So I volunteer with the phones here at the House of Justice, and we get a lot of people that are in prison calling, and they're always saying that they fear for their life, okay? So they say they don't get access to rec, they don't feed them, they don't let them go to the medics, okay? So that's normal when it comes to being incarcerated. I just got a call today from someone that was in Rikers that said they were in solitary for 18 days, they wasn't allowed to go shower. I mean, this is an issue. So him asking for some kind of special treatment, I mean, that's the whole reason why we wanted him to go to jail, because it's uncomfortable in jail. That is a reality that has been on movies and has been said millions of times. And that's one of the things that we do in the Second Chance Committee, is try to fight for inmates' rights because they don't want to give inmates rights. The court officers, everybody can turn their heads to this. This is a big issue, and of course, he's supposed to have a problem. That's what he's supposed to have. This is an ongoing issue, so he's just being treated like a normal inmate. That's what happens. They get slashed. They get all kind of things happening. If you want to, one of the calls that had came in was that they didn't want to give them their special dietary demands for their food. I didn't even know they gave inmates special dietary demands to their food. So they were refusing to give them the kind of foods that they wanted. And this is an issue. Like, they don't want to give inmates preference. So that is how it is.
All right. First thing is, I know you already know this, but he's experiencing something K-word. Karma. Doggone it. Number one. Number two, he need to learn how to communicate, negotiate, build relationships, because then he'll be able to have friends in jail that can support him. Maybe not many, but at least a couple. But there is a possible gift, not for him, but for the rest of us, which is that he could actually like write out what it's like being a black victim. He's a white guy in jail, and he can learn what it's like to be treated like a black man by black people who treat him as if they're white and he's black in jail. That's why he probably got his butt whipped in the first daggone place. So if he could find a way to communicate that, write it down, do something smart. Like Malcolm X, when he was in jail, he studied the Quran and the Bible, not the Bible, the dictionary. He went cover to cover through the dictionary for 7 times, end to end. That's like coming to such a great orator. But if he could actually take the lessons and give it to the rest of us so that nobody else does this kind of stuff, maybe that's a blessing. But in the meantime, ouch, sorry.
Okay, so let me say this first before I say anything. I am not a racist, okay? But I need for everybody to be clear on what I'm about to say. Beretta said it best. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. I don't know why he would feel like he is a special someone and he deserves special treatment. All right? You're an officer of the law, okay? And you're supposed to protect and serve. And what you did was you took a life. And so you think that you deserve special treatment. Not only did you take a life, but you took a man of color's life for, like, no reason. Like, there was no justification behind this. So what would make him fathom or even think, or why is anybody considering any special treatment for him? There should be none. It's called incarceration. And it's set up like that for a reason. There are no privileges. You lose your privileges the moment when you do a crime. It's done. It's a done deal. So if he went to solitary and he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, one flew over the cuckoo's nest, oh well, so be it. I personally feel no sympathy for him whatsoever. And if they take any of our tax dollars to give him any type of special treatment, I will be the first person outside raising Cain, because that is unjust. How many people of color are incarcerated wrongfully and are pleading for their lives and are getting no special treatment at all for crimes that they didn't even commit? So how dare, and Tony, there, just to piggyback off of what you said, he doesn't need to make any friends in there. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the only friends that he's going to make are people who think like him, and that's going to create another little white supremacy going on. And we don't need that situation right now at all. So guess what? Let the chips fall where they may. And what he needs to do is pray to whoever his maker is, ask for forgiveness, and write the family a letter with his apologies and with high remorse. That's what he needs to do, and maybe God will show some grace on him and give him a little special protection through his prayers. I don't know what to say about this.
Thank you very much. Put your hands together for all the contributors and for our host as she makes her way to the podium.
Thank you. So, I see we're very passionate about these topics. That's what we're here for. Make sure you catch us every Monday right here at the House of Justice. So for our last Did You Know, I would like to present to y'all our second Youth Huddle representative, because you know I'm always first, Mr. Christian Matthews. Right, ladies first. I like that. We're gonna use that. We're just gonna use that.
Okay, let me be quiet. She's upset because I did well at her position for the last 2 weeks she's been gone. And I'm gonna try to keep us at the 8 o'clock mark. Y'all ain't get it over with me. That's why I said, let me go last. Keep us at 8 o'clock. All right, now, calls grow to extend truth in Palestine and Israel conflict. So if some of you are not aware, let me make you aware. Israel and Palestine have not come to a complete peace agreement, but for the next week or 2 weeks, or however, they are going to be releasing, I believe, 25 hostages every day or every other day or something like that. And we already know that there is over 200 hostages. So, they're having little pauses in between the wars. So there's going to be what they call humanitarian pauses. But I just want to give you some brief information on this because it's really important for us as people that live in America to understand what is going on globally. And I don't want us as Americans to ever get so caught up in just thinking that everything revolves around America and that there are conflicts going around across the world that America happens to be involved with, just thank God not with human entities, okay? That's one thing that the president is good at, and I believe with what Sister Word said a couple of weeks ago is that President Biden has done a good job at keeping us from having to physically get involved with some of these conflicts. So let me read this little blurb that I want y'all to know. China to host UNSC high-level meeting in effort to push for a ceasefire. What was the country I just said? China. China's top diplomat, Wang Yi, will travel to New York to chair a UN Security Council high-level meeting on Palestinian and Israeli issue on November 29th, which is Wednesday, which is believed to be the latest effort by the international community, including China, to push for a ceasefire in Gaza. The fragile truce between Israel and Hamas entered its final day on Monday. So today is the last day of this truce that they had with allowing some of these people to be released. So far, there has been 25, if not a little bit more. Somebody correct me if I don't have that right, but I remember seeing it when I was sitting in the office. With both sides hinting at a possibility of extending it to free more hostages. So now they are saying, not only are we going to try this truce, but now they're going to try to continue it to allow more people to be released. And if you have not seen some videos circulating on your feed on Instagram, some of you that are old enough to use Facebook, I know MySpace doesn't exist anymore, but if you have, it's not Twitter no more, but if you have X, Snapchat is, disappearing. But if you have any of those things, it's been coming up on my feed, and I see that now they have been releasing some people and families are being reunited. This war that has been caused has not really been harming us too much unless we're really connected to it. But I know there's a lot of people in America that are worried about their families across seas on both sides, on the Palestinian side and the Israeli side. And not just that, but now we're seeing families are coming back together. There is still a humanitarian crisis. Do not forget that. This is still a humanitarian crisis where both sides are being defeated. Both sides, they're killing on both sides. So this is really, really important. So I'm going to keep reading. On Monday, the Chinese Foreign Ministry announced that as the rotating president of the UN Security Council for November, China will hold a Security Council high-level meeting on the Palestinian-Israeli issue on November 29th. Members of the Political Bureau of the CPC, the Central Committee, and Foreign Minister Wang Yi will travel to New York to chair the meeting. Now, this is a second big thing that I want to say. This is the third superpower in the world, America, Russia, and China. Well, really China, but whatever. China is now the leading person, or the leading nation in the UN. Does anybody know what the highest level in the UN is? No. The Security Council. They are the ones that are the defenders of the people internationally. Normally, China, nor Russia, or Korea, or none of these other countries would have the ultimate say on the Security Council. It's normally America, Japan, England, something like that. So now you have China, who are not on the best terms with America right now. We all know that. But they are now the leading country in adding and extending this ceasefire. Okay? We're going to keep going. Chinese Foreign Minister spokesperson said on Monday, China hopes that by holding this Security Council high-level meeting on the Palestinian-Israeli issue, we can do our part. This is Israel talking. They can do their part by bringing parties together for in-depth exchanges to build up consensus and take further concrete steps to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, realize a ceasefire and cessation of hostilities, protect civilians, and ultimately promote the comprehensive, just, and lasting settlement of the Palestinian question through the two-state solution. So now this is the last part that I want to get to, and then we're going to open it up because these are the most important things that I wanted to get to because some of this is not as important as what I just read you. First is China is the leading country on the UN Security Council. Now they're holding meetings. And now China is now backing the two-state solution. Does anybody know what the two-state solution is? No. Ashley? Every time. Israel and Palestine in the same area, just in their respective corners. One country next to the next. That's like America and Canada. We live peacefully next to each other. America and Mexico, even though, whatever with those people, they always want to cause a problem. But we live peacefully next to them. I'm talking about the country itself. People like to just cause issues for no reason and say that, this group of people. So now we're seeing as the president, as we have here, America next to Canada. Now China is pushing for Palestine next to Israel. Two separate states, free to do what they choose to do. This has been the talk for years since both sides were created. So, does anybody have anything to say? I want to ask you a question. How do you feel about China, the world's third largest superpower, already at tensions with America? How do you feel that they are now the leading country in taking on the battle between bringing peace between Israel and Palestine? How do you feel living in America that you can be safe knowing that China is now the forerunning country to bring peace globally? Come on.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Yes, my membership is paid up. and
Thank God for renewed membership.
And first of all, you're going to hate me. Let me tell you why. Okay? Because I want to deviate from the topic. Okay? There was a sister, a black lady in Brooklyn in a project called Bereavement Houses between Ralph and Sport Avenue in Bed-Stuy. Shot twice in her neck in front of her building on Thursday, Thanksgiving afternoon. I heard it talked about one time on the news. They talking international stuff, going to bed, every channel. Thursday, she was killed. 3 people got killed, I think, the day after or the day after that. And international news and all that news, they done forgot about her. Okay? Now, for all of those chair people at night that are listening tonight to Nan's program, get off of your butt and go to that housing project and do a news press, that new chairwoman and the rest of them suckers. Go to that development and show some respect to that sister, because I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of black people that live in NYCHA. Okay? 500-something developments. They claim they need 78 billion with a B dollars to bubblegum them places. But let me tell you something. We better act like we know. And this is I'm glad I'm getting a chance to bring it up. That sister got shot twice in her neck. You don't hear nothing about it. Ghosts. And it's a freak. I'm sick of hearing about, the homage this and Israel that, and the kids is getting knocked off, and this one got shot. Now, let me tell you something. The last time I felt that way, somebody in my family died. So I know I got to humble myself. But at the same freaking time, tomorrow's news better be talking about that lady. That's all I know. Her name is Anetta Long. Beautiful sister. Google it. It's the housing project is called Brevoort. Brevoort Houses. It's in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, between Ralph and I forget, and it's called Breenard, something like that, Avenue. You can Google it.
Before you come, that's very good, because NAN, we are the National Action Network, but we also want to deal with things that happen locally and in our communities. And Reverend Sharpton said that on Saturday. You can never get too big as an organization to never remember what happens in your own backyard. So thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. And I saw Ashley taking notes, so Ashley will look into it. Thank you.
Amen. Well, here's the bottom line. I know he's probably going to rephrase it for others, but I just know this. I think America has totally dropped the ball when it comes to international relations, because if you look at the grand scheme of things, how in God's name did China, remember who used to call it China, never mind. How did China, no wait, no, he's funny though, but like, he's bad, but let me just shut up. But okay, wait, train of thought. So how did China get all the way to the top of security? let's be real with ourselves, fam. This is a real issue, not just because, China kind of don't like us a lot, but they really don't like us a lot. And on top of that, they have a whole mission in mind, right? I mean, y'all can laugh, but it's real true. Like, they really out to get some people. And here's the bottom line about that. America, y'all been playing and dropping the ball a whole lot. And if you know anything about international relations, if they're on top of security, that's basically the whole world in their hands, right? There is no way that anybody is going to be able to tell them what to do when they holding, all the missiles and stuff. Praise God. Amen. So I think, in my opinion, humbly, that we all need to start learning Chinese, because that's the next step. Ni hao, yang sei chuao, duh, Chinese food, chicken wings, all that. In good news, in good faith. No, because I speak a little Chinese. I love it. I love my Chinese people. So that's all I'm trying to say. We got to get on board because they are on a mission and they're brilliant people. Let's not lie. And one thing I got to finish with this. Whenever the Chinese goes into anybody's community, they straight take over. Don't play. They go to Jamaica, next thing you know, there's Jamaican Chinese man. They go to Paris, them speaking Paris, French, everything. Like, they just go to places and them talk whatever. And you will never know they're Chinese until you meet them. I'm telling you, I lived across the border. I lived in London. I've traveled most of my life. You know what I'm saying? Paris, Switzerland, you name it, Canada. Whenever Chinese people come into your community, they straight taking over. So let's learn the language and let's chill with the Chinese man. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So am I wrong though?
Thank you. Thank you. Please come next. And let me just set a rule. Oh, God, every time I got to set a rule after somebody come. Let's try to be nicer, please, and be respectful to everybody. And yes, you were nice. Thank you, Sister Daya A. But let's just remain professional because we do have people watching. And we do not need to become a meme for the world to see here at the National Accent Network. And so we do not need no Nan memes, no Reverend Sharpton memes. We're good. We're good. Thank you. Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so China being ranked that in today's time is kind of scary because first of all, they were already the second largest, I don't know how to put it, but they already came after us. They was already directly after America, so that's scary. Like what they could do to us is scary, and not a lot of people is informed that China really has it all. Like, they really have it. They have it. They have the weapons. They have the they have everything. Like, so, and knowing that they don't like us, like she previously said, it's also scary because they've been out to get us for a long time. And then it has something to do with, I feel like it's also, like everything just collides with one another. Like, the elections coming up and, picking out new presidents and stuff, how are they going to work with China? Because as we previously knew, Donald Trump, he just had problems with everybody. So who's to say the next president that we have is not going to come for them and then they're going to have to retaliate back? Like, I'm scared. You got to think about stuff like that. You got to think about the politics that go into China being number one. Like, you gotta think about all of that. So I feel like the best thing that we could do right now is just do our research and learn more about, what China has. Like, we gotta be in a loop. Definitely. We gotta find, we just gotta stay in the loop about things like this because this is serious. It's gonna affect a lot. It's gonna change the world because they got it all, like I said. So.
Thank you, Giselle. Now, let me say this one thing. I forgot to say something. What country has the ability to make a whole country army? Which country has the ability, using their population, to make a whole country army? China. Okay, come on. Yeah, be quiet, Giselle.
Well, from my standpoint of view, as they seemingly are perpetuating it to be a humanitarian move, you know, the more you talk about something and put it in the air, you planting seeds. You know what I mean? So let's push it to it being what it's supposed to be and people working together. You know, and as a National Action Network, you know, come together and maybe see, you know, how we could be in the front lines of conversation. You know, like, yo, what's going on over here? Don't stop playing games, stop hiding, stop using this to hide that and that to hide this and play this game and that game, because it's gonna get very political. As she just said, you know, elections are coming up, and now it's a president, like he just said, over security, national, international security. Hold up. Wait a minute. Y'all getting ready to start playing with me? No, I tell you what. We gonna all, we need to be all talking to the head, because if you want to stop a snake, you cut off the head. So cut it off from the door. Listen, we not doing that. Y'all gonna do right, we gonna do right. If not, move along and find somebody who will.
I feel with China and their involvement with Israel and Hamas. One of the things that we experienced during the pandemic was the fact that due to all the offshoring, right, we didn't have resources because China wasn't allowed to give us anything. And that was one of the major things that made Trump appealing to people, because he was saying that he was going to make sure that the work and everything we produce was going to be American made. And I think that when you don't have a person that's running for office to say that they will offshore and they will make sure that Americans work and that we have American made as the major thing, that's going to be an ongoing issue. We are supposed to take care of our family first. And anytime you have politicians that don't stand for their country, you're gonna have a problem. In China, they stand for their country. They do not play. America likes to play games. That's a big problem. And that's why Trump appealed to people, because Trump said, America first. Okay, he said, America, we're gonna work, we're gonna let our people work, and we're gonna make sure it's American made. And I think that that's what the politicians need to start saying. I care about America. I care about my family. That's what they should be saying. But instead, we allow different things to do. They offshore all the work. They don't let no Americans have no job. They complain about unemployment. They complain about this and that. But they was letting our jobs go to India and China. So who's going to be the power structure if all their people can have a job and ours can't?
That part, sis. That's all right.
Well, y'all done woke up Sister Coco.
Thank you. All of this that's going on, all right? No offense to anybody. All our lives, the black people have struggled. Now it's about China and all these other things. But just remember, when China is up to something, and if China is up to something and the people that's in this country cannot see that, then China's gonna take over everything, because nobody's watching them, and they come through the back door. And as they come through the back door, they're gonna come through the back door and wind up in the front. Why? Because it's nobody watching them, because everybody's watching what's going on across the sea. And nobody's watching them at all. Now, what's gonna happen, if everybody noticed, everybody's talking about these two countries. But it was a war going on before these two countries started. And you don't hear nothing about that no more. You only hear about these two countries that's going on. So something big is happening here. and something big, and we got to get to the bottom of it because it don't seem like the people that's supposed to get to the bottom of it is not getting to the bottom of it. Because if they was getting to the bottom of it, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. We would know what was going on. So China is up to something, and we best to find out before they start getting too big. Because you know what everybody's mother used to say, don't get too big for your britches.
Okay, so I want to approach this from two different levels, right? Okay, how many of you have Netflix? Okay, in Netflix, there is a small mini series. It's called History 101. I want y'all to go watch it. Season 1, they talk about China and how China got to its prominence right now, because 60, 70 years ago, China literally was a third world country where, like how they say, can anything good come from Nazareth? Can anything good come from China? You understand? That was China years ago. Now, what happened in China is, and this is where, if any of you know, my favorite subject is economics, right? Okay, so I heard the sister ask earlier, how did China get to be so prominent? Here's how. They stopped importing and started exporting. You understand? So I like to bring it back to us, our own responsibility economically. If we stop taking our dollars out of our own community and giving them to other people's community, we would be more powerful than China. You understand? Because yes, China is a large country. The landmass is, I think it's the second largest landmass outside of Russia. But I have to research that. Don't quote me on that. But the population of China alone, and then the loyalty that the Chinese people have to China, is what sets the stage for everything that's happening. Okay? So now, in 1989, June 4th, they had something called the Tiananmen Square Massacre. And this is why I'm very concerned with China being this powerful. The students were protesting the treatment of China. Y'all know China's a communist country. The students were protesting the treatment of the Chinese government. And to make a long story short, the government came in with tanks and killed hundreds of them while they were protesting. Now, for them to be this high up in the UN security, it begs the question, what's going to happen if we're doing something that China doesn't like? You understand? Now, right now, everybody's kind of like being molded. Like, if you want to know what America's going to look like in 20 years, look at China now. Because I'm going to tell you the truth. A lot of these politicians are walking us right into that direction where the government has total control of the food, the housing. Like, I keep hearing about you'll own nothing and be happy, and the Chinese people aren't necessarily happy. They're just not allowed to complain. They're not allowed to protest. Nobody really goes against China because of Tiananmen Square. They will never forget that. Now, for them to be head of the UN, like I said, it's very disturbing. But as far as we go, if we follow the same mold that the Chinese people did, imagine what we would own in 50 years. Because like I said before, China 60, 70 years ago, like nobody wanted to go there. And now in those 50, 60, 70 years of them no importing, exporting only, and everyone knows China is notorious for bootlegging everything. I'm seriously, that's where their GDP comes from. That's where the GDP comes from. I mean, that population grew literally, I mean, think about it. In 60 years, you go from being a third world country to the #1 country in the world producing the most. The GDP of China has surpassed the US's now. You understand? And now they've branched off and formed their own currency that rivals the dollar called BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, BRI, India, C, China, and South Africa. And there are more countries coming together to get away from the dollar to come to the BRICS dollar. Like the last I checked, one BRICS dollar was 200 US dollars. That is a problem. You understand? So, like I said, they got as powerful as they are by economics and by loyalty. And unfortunately, Tiananmen Square was very brutal, but it set the standard. And I don't want the standard that China has to be the standard that the US has. So we as a people have to come together, seriously. Watch how we spend our money. I went to Atlanta. I went to Richmond, Virginia. I can name any state. There's a Chinatown in every single state. But you can't go to China and find a little Africa. You can't go to any other state within the United States and find a little black Harlem, little anything. But there's a little China everywhere. So I think we need to reprioritize and refocus and find out what to do with our dollars so that we can be as powerful as they are. Every time you get a dollar, you don't have to go spend it outside of your race. Because honestly, there's a Chinese restaurant like every other block. They take their money back to their country. And it's our money. So technically, we funded them. We allowed them to get there. We have to hold ourselves accountable how we spend our money and make the difference. We can do it.
Okay. Thank you for giving a wonderful keynote address on economics. Wow. But what she said, no, you can stand there, but before you say something, what she said is really important. And you guys really need to wake up to, our economy. China is number 4, landmass. Number 4. It is Russia, Canada, America, then China. And she's very right about BRICS. That's dangerous. And other countries are thinking about joining. The American dollar used to be the highest value. We used to be the exporters. Our cars used to be on the streets of China and Japan, in the streets of London and all around the world. Now look, we got BMWs. We got Mercedes. Well, I like Mercedes-Benz. Well, we got Benzes and we got all these other cars, Toyota, Honda, they all foreign. We don't see a lot of, what's our cars? Chevys, Fords, thank you. We don't see a lot of those no more, but everybody got a Benz and a BMW. I don't mind those because I got my mother and my family, they got cars that are foreign, but it's all right. I like foreign cars sometimes. Let me move on. Come on, I'm sorry. Come on. I almost got stuck on the Benz and BMW.
Okay, so technically, I can sit and listen to that sister that just spoke all night. I can sit and listen to her and the history that's going on tonight. I can sit here and listen to it all night because that's what's going to open us to freak up. But what I will say is this. In New York City Housing Authority, when Sandy, remember Hurricane Sandy? I speak a lot about NYCHA because a lot of us live in there. And a lot of people look down on NYCHA, but we got educated people, we got uneducated people, we got poor people, we got what they call extremely poor, extra poor, extra. So don't play yourself when you look at NYCHA. Don't play yourself. But I will like to say, when Sandy hit, places like Far Rockaway, all of those black folks was relocated. We don't know where they went. And the Koreans, and I'm sorry, the people that look Chinese, because I'm not sure, you know what I'm saying, they all came in, flooded in, okay? And now, in my development where I live, they done set up, they got farming going on. They done took our, what Bloomberg called underutilized properties, which was infill, which in my development I fought, and guess what? It was canceled, because I was TA president at the time. And we took our TPA money, 4,000 of it, and fought it, and it canceled the infill in my development. So that's just some info for whoever's listening. Now, and what happened? The Koreans done came in, and they done took the underutilized property, and they setting up farms. They got their lettuce growing, and they wheatgrass, and all this kind of thing here. And people, we looking down, we saying, what the hell? NYCHA letting them get away with all this, that, and the third? But it's not their fault, and it ain't our fault either, because guess what? Our ancestors was brought here. So as far as farming, unless you was from the South or whatever, you don't know nothing about no farming. So that's just, I just had to say that. I didn't have to, because that sister, she was preaching. But I just wanted to say that that's what they doing in the NYCHA. They got their little farms coming up and all this spinach and everything growing, and the landlords ain't saying squat.
Thank you.
But let your butt put a flyer up about something you want your neighbors to know, and they ready to put you out.
Last comment, and then we are gone.
Done.
Yeah, we done.
Okay, so I know you guys probably thought what I said before was disrespectful, but I'm not joking. No, I'm really serious. We need to learn these different languages. As a polyglot, my thing, I've talked about this several times, is learning different languages, because the sister just said it. We were brought here, right? So a lot of our culture as well as our languages were stripped away from us, and that was by design. Conquer and divide. So that's why I talk about different languages often, because I do speak several, and I love for our own Black community to learn these languages seriously, because it's very important, especially in regards to politics and the United Nations. I know y'all watching. So this is what I wanted to say, because all jokes aside, I really believe in what our topic is about, and economics as well. The interesting thing about what's happening is it's not even far removed from reality, because at the end of the day, we owe China over $7 trillion. Did you guys know that? What ended up happening is when we borrowed money from China, they've been calculating, fam. They're like, okay, you're taking this money, because what happens is when you are, somebody said it about like, you know, the bigger you think you are, the harder you fall, or something of that sort. So America, and let's be realistic, America has done this to so many different countries for many years, right? I talk about this frequently. They went to China, they said, hey, let me get some, you know, bags real quick. You know what I mean? Let me holler at you a little bit, you know what I mean? Let me get that bag. So next thing you know, China being nice was like, I got you on the loan. But that loan kept increasing with interest. And America turns around and was like, bruh, we America, and we's not gonna pay you back because we gonna tariff you. And we're gonna add all these extra little things on your thing, and now we're not gonna pay you back $1. So as you all know, especially coming from the hood or whatnot, you watching the ops like, keep playing. You owe me over $7 trillion, and you wanna keep my money, and then you wanna tell me I can't do anything about it. Bet. We're gonna keep working in quiet, right? And we're gonna buy up all the little blocks that y'all not even aware of. Speaking of, and I close with this right here. Victoria Hotel, y'all know where that's at? The Victoria? It's funny how life works for me, because I'm a spiritual person and God always be bringing information to me. I don't be asking. This past weekend I supported somebody and I went to some event, and the last thing that popped off was like, you know what they're doing at the Victoria right now? And I'm like, say less, you know me, eavesdropping, like, what? That's a new spot right here on 125th, next to the Apollo, right? Shining brightly, might I add. And I'm gonna put this out here because I want our Black politicians to wake up, not only pay attention, but they gotta stop selling us out. Let's be real. So real quick with it, yes, I'm gonna finish up. I know 8 o'clock is coming.
Yes, it's already here.
It's already here.
Passed.
Sorry.
It's passed.
So I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna be finished right here. Do you realize when businesses open up, they make deals, right? With the local politics or what have you. They went to the politicians and they was like, yo, if we open up this spot, mind you, the owners of the Victoria, if I'm not mistaken, are Chinese. And a lot more Chinese people are starting to own a lot of properties and a lot of businesses right here on 125th and throughout our community. They said to them, we're gonna make a deal. If we get to open up our new jump off, we're gonna hire Black, because that's what y'all want anyway, right? So they was like, yeah, hire Black, you know what I mean? Guess what happens? They revoked all of the Black employees right afterwards in this particular department, and they're moving throughout the whole building to remove other Blacks in the building. So this is information that was given to me, and as a NAN member, I just wanted to share it with you all to help you understand. Now, for some people, that might be real small, but you gotta understand, especially what we're talking about when a communist community is really about to take over or whatnot, the way they operate is big. They don't do nothing by happenstance and coincidence. They're not playing with us. We really have to open our eyes, and we really gotta protect ourselves at this juncture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now let me close with this, and then Giselle's going to close us out. We need to continue to be mindful about what is going on globally. Do not have the I am American mindset. I don't give a tail about what's going on across the sea. Because what's going on across the sea, in a matter of a minute, can come right across to this sea and take us all out. And with China now being the head of the UN Security Council, we are in danger. Because their version of security is communism. That is how China grew its economy. Mao Zedong had point systems, and he built his empire off of having points. Now we have this man that is currently in that is doing the same thing, and because of that, China is booming. I mean, I haven't been to China. I've been overseas. I don't ever think I want to go to China because I want to make sure I come back. I'm serious. You got to be careful with stuff like that. You have to be careful because when you go to a foreign country as an American citizen, you are in danger. Do you know that? You have to get a certain passport in order to go to a certain country. You can't just use your regular passport and say, I want to go to this specific country. No, you got to go to the State Department. And the state got to clear you, and they got to give you some sort of extra status. You're not a diplomat, but you're on the verge of being a diplomat just temporarily. So we got to be mindful. China is running things in the UN. And with them being in charge, at least they're not the Secretary General, but still being the lead of the UN Security Council is dangerous. But Israel and Hamas, I'm glad to see that there is some sort of peace and truce that is coming, and that we will continue to see more hostages released, families reunited. There's families that will forever be broken because of the death. And we have to acknowledge that. Even though hostages are returning, there is still death in the land. Families are still being dismantled every day. Entire bloodlines have been wiped off of the face of the earth. Have you ever heard that before? An entire bloodline. That at least has never happened when I was alive. Some of you have been here longer than me to live through certain things. But entire bloodlines have been taken off the face of the earth. So let's never get too Americanized to say that what's going on around the world is not going to affect us today. All right? And that's my Did You Know? And now Giselle is coming, and we are at the 2-hour. Sister Word. I am so sorry. I did not see you standing there. You can say your final remark. Go ahead. Yes, that might.
All right. I know a lot of y'all are really concerned with this issue with the United Nations. United Nations is not part of the government. They have a lot of influences, but it's a place for country leaders to meet. There's no other possibility in the United States government for that many international leaders to meet. The fact that China is head of security does not affect our right to vote. We still must use our right to vote. We cannot get distracted. Fear cannot be a basis.
Amen.
To really, because I heard a whole lot of fear up here.
Ooh.
Like really. A whole lot of fear. Which means we're not going to be focused on what we're supposed to be focused on if we're focused on being scared. So the reality of it is, we still got to vote, and we got to vote to keep the democracy. Democracy.
Yes, ma'am.
And the fact that China has whatever position they have in the United Nations does not affect our democracy when we use our right to vote to keep the democracy. That's it, and that's all.
Well, thank you. She done closed it. And as Mother Kennedy would say, amen, go right there. All right, we done.
So I would like to close us out in prayer. So can everybody stand where they're at, bow their heads, and close their eyes as we indulge in a conversation with God. Amen. So first I want to start off by blessing the Wade family and blessing our leaders, the Reverend Al Sharpton, blessing everybody that's here with us in this room. And I would like to say thank you, Lord, for your presence with us this day as we depart from this space. We ask you to bless us throughout the remainder of the day and guide us safely home. Bless the hands that prepared the food. Amen.